So welcome everyone. This is Elsie Kerns, one of the She entrepreneurs, spirited, holistic entrepreneurs. And we have our She conversation tonight, and we're talking about embracing change, walking in clarity, and most important, we're talking about doing this together. So we want to hear all about what you're doing and what's going on in your life with change as well. So Ramona, let me introduce you.
Yeah, hello, good evening. I'm Ramona Ndlovu, and I'm a integrative marriage and family therapist who works primarily with women who've experienced childhood trauma and, among other modalities, all body, mind, spirit focused. Janice, how about you next?
Hello, I'm Janice Solomon. I am a holistic healthcare practitioner. I specialize in women's health, although I do work with everyone in all ages and all stages of life. And my specialty is homeopathic care as well as energetic embodiment. And I want to say that at this moment in time in our present history, with everything that's been going on with the pandemic, it's been a time that I've been working with a lot of people who both need support if they've either gotten the illness, people have decided to get the experimental injection, people are just dealing with a lot of anxiety and fallout, and homeopathic care has been extraordinarily helpful. So that's me. Heidi?
Thanks, Janice. I'm Heidi Ferguson, and I am a psychic and medium, and I also do spiritual guidance with my clients. And so I'm excited to be here, and thank you all for joining us. Um, so as we are gathered here, talking about change, embracing change, and supporting each other as we are doing this. Um, the first thing I think is important as we are here as a group is to come together energetically by taking a moment to ground ourselves, take a couple breaths, um, and to get ourselves really present in this moment at the beginning of this hour. So if um, if you're sitting, that's great. If you're standing, that's okay too. But whatever you're doing, I want you to be mindful of whatever part of your body is hitting the ground. I want you to really feel it. So if it's your buttocks and the back of your thighs in a seat, I want you to really feel that. If it's your feet on the floor, that because you're standing, I want you to really feel your feet holding you and supporting you. And if you want to close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to do that. And now I'm going to encourage you to, as you breathe, take note of what's happening in your body. And that your lungs, we need all the parts of our body, and that our lungs are filling with air. And then they empty. So as we inhale, they fill with air. As we exhale, they empty. As you continue breathing, as much as you can, I want you to clear your minds. As much as you can, clear your minds of the day. Whatever has happened from 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock this morning until now, I want you to put that aside. Focus on your breath. There's nothing else to think about in the time that we are here together. And just breathe. Leave the day behind and breathe. As a few of us have mentioned, our theme tonight and in the coming weeks will be embracing change and supporting each other with this change. And I'm going to guess that probably for most of us, just this taking the time to presence yourself, focus on your breath is change. And we might not think of it as change, but it is. It's something we're different that we're doing with ourselves and collectively as a group. As we all know, change is happening literally every second of every day. There's some change that's more noticeable than others. Some change kind of hits us upside the head like a brick. Some change is much more subtle. Whatever the change is, however it's coming in, I want to invite you, even though it can be hard at times, I want to invite you to embrace that as much as you can. Because what happens is when we don't embrace change and we kind of flit it away or put it on the back burner, that's a term I like to use, it will come back. It comes back around when we are, because if it's something we haven't dealt with, something that will come back around until we make the choice to consciously handle and deal with it. The last thing that I will say is that one of the reasons that we created these conversations, She Conversations, is so that we all have a place to come to share, because the four of us are aware and have each other that there are people in the world that don't have a support system or a place to kind of let down their hair and share and talk about change and embracing change and the things that are happening in their lives. So again, I welcome you, we welcome you, and let's take a few more breaths together before we come back to the space. And here we are. Thank you, everyone.
So continuing on our theme, changing, embracing it, I'm big on changing up how we're not moving. So I'm going to put on some music and encourage everybody to make a change. So if you're sitting, stand. If you're standing, start moving, enjoy the music, and think especially about moving in your hips and your lower half of your body, because we get all up here, we're watching each other. So give me 1 second. I'm going to start the music, and when you're ready, get on up. Someone just wiggle a hand so I know you hear it.
Oh yeah. Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I'd got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse of how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. There's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Ooh, yeah. I watch the ripples change the size, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't tell them to grow up out of it. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Where's your shame you've left us up to our next event? Time may change me, but you can't twist time. Strange fascination fascinating me. Ah, changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Oh, look out, you rock and rollers. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Pretty soon now you're gonna get older. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. I said that time may change me, but I can't trace time.
Ooh,
Nice. Now stay standing. Let
Yeah.
let yourself come and stand with your legs a little wider. Bend your knees a little bit. Maybe put your hand on your heart, on your belly, and just listen to a little bit of Falling in the Angels.
Frater Ashes, Frater Pietro, Julianus, Petronella, Santos, Miroslav, Vladimir, and all the rest. Oh, a man is placed upon the steps and a baby cries. High above you can hear the church bells start to ring. And as the heaviness, oh, the heaviness, the body settles in, somewhere you can hear a mother sing. Then it's one foot, then the other, as you step out on the road. Step out on the road. How much weight? How much? Then it's how long and how far and how many times. Oh, before it's too late. Call all angels, call all angels. Walk me through this one, don't leave me alone. Call all angels, call all angels. We're trying, we're hoping,
breathe into your body, into your heart, through your breath. Feel everything. Feel your life force in you.
Ah, but if you could, do you think you would trade in all the pain and suffering? Ah, but then you'd miss the beauty of the light upon this earth, and then the sweetness of the leaving. Calling all angels, calling all angels, walk me through this one, don't leave me alone. Calling all angels, calling all angels, we're trying, we're hoping, but we're not sure. Calling all angels, calling all angels, calling all angels, calling all angels, walk me through this, walk me through this, don't leave me alone.
So when you're ready, take your time transitioning from your standing and moving to back into your seated position. Take your time. Move differently than you normally do. And once you're seated, maybe have your eyes like 9/10 closed. You just have a little bit of light coming in. And place your hands somewhere either on your legs or in your lap, palms facing up, just like a receptive position. Take a few moments to notice your breathing. And let your awareness come into inside your head, so like a center point. And let that drop down and let your awareness come to your chest, heart region. Just move in there. And then finally, just let your inner focus take you down, moving inside the pelvic area, about 4 or 5 inches below your belly button, 2 or 3 inches in. It helps to imagine where the cervix is inside the body. Anchor yourself there. These, as you're connecting to this whole inner core of yourself, you can be sensitive to what's changed since we first got on the call. You can just feel into it. What is different? What's changed? And if you feel so moved and you'd like to share what this experience is, feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. I know for myself, I feel like in just these few minutes from when we began until now, I feel like I just went through almost like all my emotional range. Just moving through like a joy and fun and And then listening to Katie Lang singing the angels and just sort of coming down into this, or circling around into this place of very tender, a little bit of sadness, and then just very kind of calm. A lot of change.
I'll unmute and go first.
Please.
So I felt nervous and I guess silly at first, and then it changed to happy and fun. My daughter joined me, and then I do feel calmer and grounded, and I felt like peace, home, safe. And now I feel emotional, but it felt very good, especially when you had the last song on.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Welcome.
So
did you see-
Megan, I just wanted to say, I love seeing your daughter first help you in the kitchen. And then when the two of you were dancing, when you finally were sort of taking off there in the kitchen, that was great.
That is my favorite thing to do in the kitchen, is cook and dance with music on at the same time. She doesn't really join me sometimes. She thinks that I'm silly, but I can get her sometimes to join me. So she actually joined me, and I was grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm all about embracing that aspect of feminine energy, which is flowy and fun, and let go of like the judgments, like, oh, what will they think? But embrace it, right?
Yes.
So glad you shared that. Thank you. Anybody else want to share anything before we
I love David Bowie. And when you played the song Changes, I thought about all the changes that he went through in his professional career. Initially dressing with orange hair and in dresses and so forth. And then as he matures, he ends up being really a very debonair entertainer that marries an international model. But the fact is, the music, it changed with the times, but that was his forte. And that's what he built on, was his musical talent. Sure, the appearance changed, but he always stuck with that. And it's interesting. I think a lot of us sometimes leave certain things that are our forte because it becomes too difficult, or we're not making enough money, or whatever.
Right.
But if you stick with the basics, you can have orange hair or a three-piece suit. You're probably still going to be successful if you're good at what you do.
Yeah. Thanks. And if you don't mind, when you're finished, just if you could mute, because sometimes there's some background sounds. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Anybody else? Anybody would she like to share?
I'll share. So I liked Megan's word peace. I mean, that's a common word, but it's not a word I use a lot for myself. And I did notice, because I live alone, so it's my energy in my apartment, and I'm just like, wow, things just have really settled very peacefully. Because I had shared earlier that I was kind of doing a lot of physical things in my apartment and moving things, and so it's been a very productive day. But now I'm like, oh yeah, I feel at peace. And I think she also used the word safe, which is, God, it's so important, in all these kinds of times. It's not just during a pandemic, but as humans, to feel safe with ourselves and with our sisters. And yeah, so that I two words, yeah, that were really resonated with me, and I wanted to share that. And yeah, I think that's, and I have a new background.
You made a change, Heidi.
I did make a change. Yes, I have a new background. I think this is Greece. I think my other one was LA, but I think this is Greece. Anyway, and the water is just beautiful. So, yeah.
And you know, like just this idea of embracing change and doing it together in community. So it's like it's so interesting to me that how quickly we can feel a shift and a change by listening to two pieces of music, let alone changing the background or what you're wearing or where you're living. I mean, you can make huge changes, but you can also do something subtler,
Right.
you know? And so yeah, I encourage everybody. And listen, Janice is going to take her own medicine as well, because I have to remember. I like the routine, so I can keep doing the same thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, make a little change. Elsie, you want to say something? You look like you're about to.
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of my life, I struggled in my early years with anxiety. And of course, I went to 12 years of Catholic school and we wore that same uniform every single day. And so when I got out and started dressing for work, it was kind of a challenge to pick something new out every day. And at this point in my life, what's funny is I realize I kind of get attached to like a winter outfit and a spring outfit and a summer outfit, you know, that I wear over and over when I'm not at the office. So I'm just aware of change, but how easy it was to change with that music. I kind of felt like unkinked. I felt like I was holding my shoulders and, you know, tense, and it just kind of felt like everything let go and I could let the energy flow more easily. Yeah. Very peaceful. Yeah.
I just want to tell you one other thing that's interesting, and then I'm going to get quiet and someone else can move on. So yesterday, I could hear the words from the song, The Calling. I kept hearing this sort of like whisper of calling, and I could hear the song, and I couldn't remember the name of the song, but it was literally calling to me. And then when I did a Google search, I went through lyrics.com, I couldn't, and then all of a sudden it just sort of like, whew. And so I think that's another piece of embracing change, is that we often get subtle messages that are coming through, this intuition, this, you know, this kind of nonverbal, and they're often, we don't have to change with a huge kaboom, right?
Yes.
We can go with the flow of this, because it literally was calling to me, like, and it didn't even occur to me until this morning, oh, let's play this tonight. So yeah, so listen to those messages. They're there all the time, and they can help us flow with our changes, especially if we're feeling a little resistant. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, so can I just add to what you said, Janice, because I was just saying earlier before we went on that Pam Younghans described this new moon in her North Journal last week as this Kazemi new moon, based on its proximity to the sun and how this heightens our intuition and awareness. So it's funny that you were talking about how that just dropped in. That's exactly what she was talking about, and how this will continue over this next cycle. I never heard of that kind of a new moon before, but I thought it was very interesting. Yeah.
Love that. Okay.
How about you, Ramona?
I was really feeling into my body while we were with the music, and feeling, just really staying with being in my hips, and, you know, just noticing where things were sore or achy, not moving as with not moving as pain-free as I would like, or not really pain, discomfort-free. Been noticing a lot of tightness in my hips. Because I usually do yoga really regularly, and I haven't in a long time, and I started running again. And so just noticing like, oh, okay, I changed that, let something go, and now I'm experiencing this, so we need to change it up again. And just also being with the lyrics, especially the Calling All Angels. And as I shared with the rest of the ladies of She, that this has been a very intense weekend for me. And listening to you, Elsie, share even more about this moon than you did earlier with the intuition and the awareness makes a lot of sense. Kind of like what, I've just been going through it this weekend, not knowing that there were these planetary things going on, influencing most likely what I'm experiencing. So again, just really being with the awarenesses coming up and making themselves known, and just expressing them. So as I was listening to the music, especially the lyrics of the Calling All Angels, there was, definitely some tears that were coming up for me. I don't know that I would say sadness, but just some tears, and just being with that too, and letting that move through.
I don't interrupt you.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to add something about witnessing each other and being witnessed in this space, because there are many people, I will talk about myself, I live alone, and so the changes that I experience in my life, I experience alone. And, most of the time there is no one witnessing me. And so, again, during the meditation, I talked about the sisterhood, the group, and coming together, and one of the reasons we created this. And so, we wouldn't be witnessing if we weren't here together on this call. So, maybe, just throwing this out there for whatever it's worth, maybe you want to congratulate yourselves for, committing to and coming on the call and showing up, just being here, because you're here and we see you, and we're glad that you're here. I just felt, for me, it was important to say that, and I'm really appreciating it.
Thanks, Heidi.
Sure.
Barbette, how about you? Any comments?
I'm getting this. Change. I'm changing every day. When you hear music, I wake up just singing a song the one morning, and I'm glad I live by myself because it wasn't so lovely, but my birds didn't care. So anyway, when you say pay attention to what comes in, that's so true. The song was Helen Reddy's No Way to Treat a Lady. So I guess that's where I was at that time in my dream. So it was kind of neat. So change is great, and music makes me happy. I listen to it all the time. But I thank you ladies for doing this. This is very nice, and everybody's very lovely. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Elsie, for getting this together.
You're welcome. So, Barbette, can you give yourself a gold star for the incredible changes you've made?
Well, I already made a change.
Wow.
Yes, I did. I think my church got me to do this. I was shamed into it because we had a meeting, Zoom meeting with our new minister, and we all had to be on Zoom. And I said, I don't like doing this. And he said, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way you get to meet them, so.
Mhm.
Not an easy way, but that's good. But I wanted to tell you real quick, Elsie, the girl I asked you to put in the Reiki bowl, she got home from the hospital yesterday, 73 days she was in, and she looks wonderful. We had videos of her. They videotaped her coming out of the hospital. So it was a happy day for us yesterday. So I thank you for all your prayers and Reiki. It really did work.
Well, we put her in that joint prayer bowl.
Yeah,
That's like magic.
I've been sending it every day to her, every day yeah, so, yeah, and it's a long road for her yet because she has to learn to walk again, and it's hard. It's very hard, but she'll do it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So can we just pause for one moment? In honor of that, I think this is worthwhile sharing.
I would have sworn it was me. I might have found out sooner if you'd only let me close enough to see. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no way to treat your baby, your woman, your friend. That ain't no way to treat a lady, no.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm adding that to my playlist. Thank you. This lets me be my inner DJ, which I never thought I had, but it's kind of fun. Hey, it's a change. Anybody else want to hear a piece of music? Well, thanks everyone. Thank you for just going on the ride, being part of the change. The Dalai Lama has said that the change in the world is going to, and is, from the women. He's been very clear about it. I suppose to be the most politically correct, I should say vulva owning human beings. But yeah, we're the ones who are doing it. Yay.
We had some questions we prepped for tonight, and I would like to offer, I'm not going to offer the list because there's a lot of them, but I wonder if you would each consider just a couple or three or so. One is, what journey are you on with your changes? What's your change style? And how long lasting has change been for you? So I don't know if one of those kind of hops out at you that you might want to be with and share. What journey are you on with your change? What's your change style? Or how long lasting has change been for you?
I put them in the chat if that helps anybody.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, those questions are in the chat box. Thanks, Janice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add a fourth. This one's a really good one. When you're feeling stuck, how do you get clarity on next steps? When you're feeling stuck, How do you get clarity on next steps?
All right, I'll be brave and go again first.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Which one do you want me to answer? You asked me.
Any one that you want to answer.
I guess if I'm feeling stuck, how do I get unstuck? So I feel like I reach out. I've reached out to Elsie, and I have another woman that I work with, and that's where I get my stuff. I wasn't really given good tools as a child, and now being 36 and having one of my own, I really need the right tools. So I reach out.
Reaching out. And would you share, if you're willing, one or two maybe of your go-to tools that help you?
I don't really know. I definitely know that doing the exercises that Elsie showed me seem to be working, and Elsie's affirmations.
Fabulous.
And when I see the other woman that I work with, she takes me into the quantum field and she does healing with me there. So I feel like that really helps.
Great.
And I guess giving myself time to digest certain things.
Ooh.
Is that a good thing to say? Like, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I have a rough work environment, and the head doctor that I work with called me trifling the other day. So in front of a bunch of people. So that was really hard. And that was another thing when I went into my healing session today that I brought that up, because that's a trigger from being a child. So I really had to digest it and remember that that is not who I am. That is not what I am. And cry, let it out, and realize, and lit a candle for her healing and for my healing. So, yeah, that's another thing I do. I'll light a candle and say,
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Well,
I love that phrasing, digest. I talk about that with my clients a lot, because our bodies don't use everything. There's stuff we shit out because it's not supposed to be in there. So go on through the system and get on out. Yeah. But to not hop over it, not ignore it, not deny it. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else feel moved to answer one of the questions, or maybe one of your own, or maybe you want to ask a question?
Well, I was thinking, kind of piggybacking on what you just said, Megan. I think I heard you say something about, did I hear the word pause? Did you say pause or something around that? Like just take a moment, like, right. So for me, something that I've been exploring more, definitely recently, but definitely over the last few years, is the idea of, and I've actually even moved from pause to just kind of coasting. Like I'm so used to having to do. That's been my way. Okay, I feel stuck. I have to figure something out. There's this kind of thing. And I like this idea of kind of like being on a beautiful road and just taking your foot off the gas, off the brake, and just sort of coasting. And just let's see what it is. It's kind of uncomfortable, to be honest, sometimes. But I do realize if I just let myself kind of coast a little bit, then actually that's when the clarity might come in. Maybe it'll be like an intuitive hit or something else. So I've been kind of exploring and exercising that new muscle.
Thank you, Janice.
Thanks. Great question.
You're muted.
AJ, you're muted.
Still muted.
There we go. Okay, how about
There you
now?
go.
There you go.
All right. I have found that I always, what I considered, ran from a situation. I was a runner. But really, what I've learned to do is distance myself, get out of a situation. I'm not one that, if I'm in the middle of it, I can't see the forest for the trees. So really, that's my own personal thing. I have to get out of the situation. And that's what I did with my marriage, with my career. But I also have found that, like, I at least, I always felt a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. Okay, it has to be decided, has to be decided yesterday. And I don't have that anymore. I mean, I at least sleep on it for a night. I mean, not when it comes to buying, peanut chews to Wawa, but all of a sudden, I don't know, it just kind of dawned on me in the last 2 years that not everything has to be decided right now. And what you think right now, you haven't always made the best decisions in your life. So at least sleep on it for a night. And that's really helped me tremendously, because the next day I say to myself, what were you thinking? My God. So that's really helped me. And that's not always a possibility for everybody. It has been for me. And for a long time, like I said, I felt like I was a runner. I was ashamed of that I always ran from things. But I simply had to distance myself from them, because I really need to be able to look at them objectively, and I can't do it when I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do ask for help. Sometimes it's with people that are kind of on the outside that don't really know the situation. I kind of stay away from asking close friends, especially about the marriage, in the sense that they have their opinions about my husband. So it may be not necessarily an objective opinion.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Appreciate your sharing those. I love how you have learned about yourself, what works for you,
Yeah.
and given yourself the space to add another option, sleeping on it, not making the decision on the spur of the moment. Anyone else? We probably have time for at least one more. Anyone?
Well, I would just like to comment that I have to be honest, when I am on my journey and I get really stuck or can't figure something out, the first thing I do really is get into bed with a bowl of ice cream, because then I feel I'll be able to think more clearly. Now, that doesn't necessarily make sense, but it's sort of self-soothing, And then from there, I can look at the problem a little differently.
Makes a lot of sense. From a place of comfort and safety,
Yes.
you make a very different decision than from a place of anxiety and fear.
Absolutely. Yes, it just really does something calming for me.
That's great.
Yep.
It's another great way to know yourself, what soothes you, what calms you, what comforts you, and then to give yourself that thing or activity or whatever it is. It's a great gift.
I know with my journey. If I feel stuck, my best thing is to go outside and be in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I get answers. If I just take my time and not overreact. And that was a tough one for me to change that, because I like to be in control of myself, but I'm learning to take care of myself a lot better and listen to what my guides are telling me to do and not listening to all the background noise, just stay focused on what we need to do for self. And it comes back tenfold. But meditation and all that kind of stuff really does help me. And just being with Barbette, and I'm starting to like Barbette again, so that's a nice thing.
Yeah, I'll say. Barbette sounds wonderful.
Thank you. I'm getting there. One day at a time, as they say. 1 hour at a time.
Yeah. So I want to give opportunity before we shift to our close, which Elsie, I hope you will lead us in, is if anyone has at least one thing that they would like to brag about. It can be anything you want to say. Something you did well, something you changed, something that you experienced that was something you want to talk up. We want to hear it. We want to hear what's going well for you. Is someone muted who's talking? Who's muted?
I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can hear you.
So I've had an old wound that has resurfaced. It's literally like 16 years old. And it's resurfaced recently, and I voiced it. I brought it to life, and I didn't know it was going to happen. And a very wise friend, Janice, supported me and asked and suggested, she's like, what would you tell a client? I said, I would, one of the things I would offer them is to meditate on it. So we meditated, and I was amazed at how clear and how much better I felt after not only getting it out, but also the information that was very clear from spirit. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And this is something that's kind of been taking up a lot of mental space. And since we meditated, I really, until now, haven't thought about it, which has been really lovely. So that's huge for me.
Yay.
Yes, I know. It's big for me. Thank you. Yeah.
Yay, yay, yay. So glad for you.
Thanks.
All right. My son got into Harvard Medical School.
That is great news.
Yeah.
Not only did he get into Harvard, he's got a free ride.
Yeah.
That's so great. Oh my God. Yes. No debt.
That's beautiful. Congratulations, proud mama.
Thank you.
Did you want to unmute, Megan?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll say that I am extremely proud of myself for how far I've come. I've battled with addiction for a decent amount of time, and I have turned my life around completely. I'm in school getting good grades, and I don't know, I'm really proud of myself. And
yes,
or the tools that I've gotten, because I didn't I tried to go away, think it didn't work, but the like the other tools that I'm doing, I seem to work, and whatever has worked for me, I do. Stop a second. I do have friends that come to me and ask me what I've done and how did I do so quickly. And I say, you have to use these tools. They work, and hopefully some of them work. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my daughter. And she struggled in school, and I spoke with her teacher, and that's another proud moment. I was the only one able to get the job done and bring her grades up with her. We could full time school, so I am pretty proud.
That's great.
Hey,
That's awesome.
Yay.
Mhm.
so glad for you.
Women
Wow.
changing the world. Woohoo!
Hard work is paying off. Love it. Love it. Anyone else?
I'm going to celebrate that I ate delicious things today, and that makes me so happy.
Yay. Yay for delicious eating and happiness.
Makes me happy.
Yeah. So I want to celebrate that I slept till 8 o'clock today, even though it was really only 7 in our time. But I never get to sleep late. I'm not a late sleeper, so I was just delighted.
Yay.
That's great, Elsie.
You know, all this, it keeps raising the vibration the more that we share and brag and celebrate. Just
Sure.
see how we're all like smiling more. It's starting to hurt
Yeah.
my face.
Yep. Yep. My celebration is, I shared already, I have had a very intense weekend. And I had an intuitive idea of something that would be helpful for me to process. So I use, one of the things I do is called soul collage. And soul collage is where you create a collage that expresses some aspect of, typically of yourself or your life or people that you know that are like part of you. And so I have these 2 cards. One is called My Nice White Lady, and one is called My Freedom Fighters. And I really felt like I needed to process with them. And I got support from some of my other parts. And we had a process this afternoon, and they really shared a lot of wisdom and insight with me and support for what I'm processing. And I was grateful not only for the intuitive idea that came, but that I took the time to do it, because I can be so like, I have so much to do, I don't have time to da. And I was just like, nope, the idea came, it came for a reason. Today's the day, we're doing this. And I did it, and it was beautiful and helpful and supportive. And I'm really celebrating that I did it. I took time for me and I did it, and it was good, and it's been a blessing, and it will continue to bless me and ripple out.
Yay.
All right. Unless Barbette wants to share something, we'll move it on to Elsie. I don't want to cut you off if you want to share something.
I just did nothing today for me. I sat around and did nothing. And that, that made me a happy day.
All righty. I like it. Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds fabulous too. All right, Elsie.
Okay, so thank you, first of all, for joining She Conversations. And we will be having some more. We want to gather community, and we want to hear from you. So I'd like to end our evening with the 12 hearts, another way to bring love into ourselves with this exercise. So we're going to start right between the eyebrows. And this is the beginning of bladder meridian, which works with our nervous system. And we're going to draw a nice heart all the way down and cover the throat. And then come back a second time between the eyebrows. Draw a nice heart down, covering the throat. And a third time between the eyebrows, down to the throat. Now, all the way around the torso, a nice heart down to the pubic bone once. And again, from the heart, a nice giant heart down to the pubic bone. And coming up a third time, beautiful heart around the pubic bone. Now let's reach back and do 3 hearts over the sacrum and the butt. Just kind of starting at the sacrum area, down, covering the butt. 3 nice hearts, helping the back and helping us support and stand on these 2 strong feet. So now we have 9 hearts, and let's come around to the front for this all the way up and around, complete circle. And again, complete circle all the way around, covering the whole body. And a third time, complete circle, covering that whole body. And now landing back on the heart, one hand over the other. And let's just take a moment to hold all of our being in love, honor, and reverence, just as you are in this moment in time. So thank you, everyone. Don't forget to write your abundance check within 24 hours of the new moon that happened last night. And if you need any further info on that, let me know and I'll send it on to you. Okay, we'll keep you posted on the next She Conversations.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Enjoy your